But look, I'm gonna get high, and I want you to try this with me. It ain't gonna hurt you, man. It ain't gonna do nothing. You're just gonna feel real good. Now that's your friend. You grew up with, that's your buddy. You went to school together. But here comes Satan in the form of your friend, spinning a web. You may have 3 minutes to say, no, thank you, brother. I'll see you at another time. No, thank you, my friend. I'll see you at another time. See, don't tell me that you want to be righteous hanging out with people who don't want what is right. If you want to be right, hang out with those who want right and you'll stay right. But if you hang out with the wicked, it won't be long before the spider has spun its web. And then with a few words, they break you down. Your resistance is gone. See, that's what happens to virgins. Their resistance break down, but it starts from within. It's an urge. You know, you're natural. You're a natural young lady. You're a natural young man. I feel these hormones, they fired up. Damn, I want to try this thing. But I'm scared. Because see, maybe I'll get pregnant. Well, I met a nice young lady. She's my friend too. And she wants me to try sex. But I know I won't get pregnant with her. Spinning the web. And you end up in a lesbian relationship. You're safe. You can't come home pregnant. But you're broken down on the inside now. And the natural is becoming unnatural.
How to open your car door while submerged underwater. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car after crashing into water. This ingenious innovation elevates your odds of survival to an astonishing 99%. It was developed.
Jesus, the greatest of the prophets, well, yes, greatest of the prophets. Because as Messiah, he's greater than a prophet. If you study the Quran carefully, the Messiah did things that prophets don't generally do. He made the blind see by God's permission. He made the deaf hear by God's permission. He raised the dead to life by God's permission. Those are Allah's attributes. So when a human being is doing what only God can do, then God is present in that human being, working through that human being, greater than a prophet. See, look. A prophet speaks of God in the absence of God. The Messiah is not only speaking of God, but God is present. That's why the Emmanuel, God is with us. Present. It's a big difference. Big difference. So, Jesus was a king, but he didn't have no kingdom. Not yet. See? Now, if Jesus was so beloved of God, but he had to be tried, then how can you escape? How can I escape? How can we escape? Satan walked right up to Jesus. Hey, come on up on this mountain with me. Take a walk with me. See? You got to walk with your trial. Come on up on the mountain with me. Look out over there. Look at all those cities, Jesus. I'm master over those cities. Jesus said in his mind, yeah, temporarily. He said, if you bow down to me, I'll give you all of that. Jesus, in his mind, said, yeah, it's coming to me anyway. I'm just going to wait on my Father. Then he said, get thee behind me, Satan. See, now, some of us want things so bad that we compromise things of value to get something that is in our minds very valuable, but less valuable than what you gave up. See, a fair exchange is when you give up something to get something equal to what you gave up. But when you give up principle and lose your soul in the process, then whatever you get in that transaction does not benefit you. It could be a beautiful home, but you won't have any peace in it. It could be a nice car. It could be the man that you thought was the man of your dreams, or the woman that you thought was the one you were looking for all your life. But if you have to compromise your principles to hold on to nothing and give up virtue for nothing, then you don't rejoice in the bargain that you made that day. But Allah says in the Quran, rejoice in the bargain that you have made this day. For I have given you the garden in exchange for your lives. Ooh. Then the God says, rejoice in that bargain because your life was worthless. But I ask you to give me your worthless life. And in the place of that, I will give you the paradise. So when you make that bargain gives you joy. Now, why did this subject come to me in the middle of the night for you? I can't answer. All I know is that that's what I was supposed to begin to talk on to you. And each one of you know in your own heart why I'm saying what I'm saying. Okay, now, I'm not patting myself on the back at all. I'm a brother like you, struggling like you to be and live up to my word that I gave to Allah and his messenger. that my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death is all for God. I said that 50 years ago, and I'm still striving to make my word my bond. So I am locked in struggle just like you. But when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked me to make the national broadcast during his time among us, and for 6 years I did it, for the first 3 years I wrote every word, and some of the brothers in this room were with me in those early days when I would write every word, weigh every word, and bring a 29-minute, 30-second broadcast. But after doing that for 3 years, I was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one day, and he said, "Oh, brother, you don't have to do that. Just go stand up and let God speak through you." Now, I didn't come before you with any notes. I just asked brother for the Holy Quran. And I've been talking to you now for about 35 or 40 minutes. And everyone in this audience already knows that there was something you were looking for, something you needed, and something you received. Now, I am grateful to Allah to be used as an instrument. I am not puffed up with pride or arrogance, because I know I'm just a servant. I'll be here for a short time, and then I'm gone the way of all flesh. But while I'm here, I'm honored to be his servant and to help you and our people and humanity see the greatness of God and the greatness of yourselves when you are in submission to God. Now, I'm going to continue with this subject, and I'm going to read now from the Holy Quran, but this is going to reinforce what you heard that may have touched you personally, because it's all designed to heal you. It's all designed to strengthen you. It's all designed to make you what you know you already are, a better person, but not living in your dreams, manifesting your greatness by your surrender to your Creator. Okay. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me one day, and some in this audience can bear witness that they've heard him say this, that the FBI was looking for him because Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor, and they wanted to arrest Elijah Muhammad because they could not afford to have this man on the street preaching to black people while America was trying to prosecute a war, because they have always wanted to use you in wartime and at election time. At any other time, do the best you can. So Elijah Muhammad, they had come for him. I think he said he was in Baltimore.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I want to greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the ancient tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, 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 dear beloved family, brothers and sisters, friends and visitors from wherever you are on the planet. Welcome to another episode of the Imagination Show. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is Sister Claudia Muhammad. Welcome, beloved.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and welcome to another edition of the Imagination Show. I pray that you are all safe and well and that you have had a wonderful week. It's very cold here in the UK, but as long as you've got a good coat, you'll be fine.
The snow still hasn't come yet, though, has it?
Well, I think in some parts.
They're threatening.
Yes.
Sort of like up north.
Yes.
I think it's really coming down, but I think they're threatening that in the next few days,
the snow.
It's going to get kind of heavy in the kind of London, outer London area. Well,
can I just greet my family in New York, Brooklyn as well, Manhattan. Oh, we've got all the New Yorkers in the house.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with somebody today about Crown Heights. It was one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had in America. We went there during the summer, myself and another brother, and we went to a carnival there. But there was I had a strange experience because there was a road.
Yes.
And on one side of the road were black people, and on the other side was Orthodox, mostly what looked like Orthodox Jews.
Okay.
But it was a black community and a Jewish community separated by a road. Okay. And it literally looked to me like nobody crossed that road, like they didn't mix whatsoever. So those of you who live in New York, near Crown Heights, either confirm or deny what I've just said, because I found that very, very strange. It was so odd because here in the UK, despite the fact that it's still a very racist society and everything, everybody is kind of like on top of each other. More so in this country, it's more, the divisions are more on class, rather than, you know, the color, especially these days. But I found that very, very, because it was so stark. On one side, it was Jews, and on the other side, it was black people. Okay. But yeah, carry on, Sister Claudia.
No, I'm just saying welcome. Also, welcome, Sister Marva and Brother Alvin, community. Wonderful to have you online. Praise be to Allah.
Beautiful.
Yes. How are you? Yeah, your cough.
Yeah, I've still got a little bit of a tickle thing going on here. I'm really hoping that I'm not going to start coughing, but I find that, you know, when these things come, they basically run their course, and they decide when they go. I mean, you can take all the honey, the lemon, the garlic, the ginger, all whatever, and I think that gives you some comfort, or it soothes to some degree. Right, but I don't think in the end, whatever it is, the virus that gets into the body, that, you know, lodges itself in the throat or in the nasal passage or in the bronchial area, whatever, you know, I think it just runs its course.
Yes.
That's my view. That's my opinion. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, our brother Stephen says, you're talking about Eastern Parkway. Eastern Parkway is in Crown Heights and goes into East Flatbush as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it was a strange, surreal experience.
No, but that's America anyway. When we were in, where were we?
Chicago. That time when I got lost.
Yeah,
I was driving in Chicago and I got lost, and as I drove, the complexion of the people began to change, and literally it just felt like wherever I drove, as the complexions changed, there were people just staring like why is this black guy, black man driving through this community? And I managed to turn around and get the hell back out there and drove until everybody began to look like me again.
Yes.
It's weird, man. It's a very divided place. It would appear along color lines. Yeah. So, and another experience I had was in Washington, near Brown's University. The first time I went around there, it was black. It was just black. And then the last time I was there in 2015, it's like the whole place had changed, and there was all these little cafes, and it seemed like it was a very sort of gay, friendly kind of area now.
Okay.
And the few blacks that I did see, they look kind of strung out on alcohol or drugs or whatever, but it just seemed like that process of gentrification had happened and taken its course, and some new people had moved in, and the people who used to kind of dominate that area had been moved out, and those remaining looked like they were kind of out of doors. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So I'm hoping that everybody is good, and that you are all very much looking forward to this episode. It's a thought process that goes on when we're trying to think about the Imagination show and what it is that we desire to call our viewing or listening audience to in terms of action, because today's a day, dear family, when our actions should and must speak louder than our words. It's easy to talk, but in reality, we need to take action in order to change our condition as a people, because our condition right now is not great. Our condition right now has tremendous potential. Within that potential, there's power, there is essentials, there's a lot, but it's only potential. It's not yet been made actual. And what we've got to do is turn that latent power, that latent potential into something real. And then at the same time, we have to appreciate that there is an enemy who is, working 24 hours, 7 days a week to try to keep us as fast asleep as possible, that we may not realize that potential and make that potential manifest into something real.
I was going to say, I find lately that the more I ask for things, it comes. So I'm finding I have to be really careful of how you think, because our lives, the springing things, you can be thinking about something and then it's just come.
This happens.
Yes, yes.
Well, we were at the theatre last night. One of our daughters was performing, because all of my children seem to have gone down the road of the performing arts, following in their father's footsteps, I guess. But at the end of the show, I was talking to a couple of those young men who came to see, and that's what I was really trying to explain to them last night, to say, whatever you put your mind on, whatever you focus on, and this applies to all of us. I don't care how old you are, how long you've been on the planet. Sometimes we lose focus and we think, it's all over for me, kind of thing. No, dear family.
Must be done.
Absolutely. And if you just focus on the thing that you desire, the thing that you want,
as long as it's good.
Yeah, of course it needs to be good, because that's why they say be careful what you wish for, be careful what you pray for, because the universe is such that it really doesn't deny anybody.
That's right.
And if you focus and then you take steps toward the thing that you're focused upon, then literally almost like magic,
that's right,
doors open and things happen in the direction that you pointed yourself. Right. It's absolutely phenomenal and awesome. And, there really is no reason for us to despair and to not have hope, and to not know that we can actually fulfill, all of our dreams and our desires. This is all very, very feasible, dear family. And so here we go. Again, before we really begin, please, call a friend, a family member, a loved one. Let them know that the Imagination show is live and direct. and invite them to come and partake and share with us this evening. Dear family, a notice would have gone out informing you of our title this evening. And so welcome to episode 113. This is Thursday, the 18th of January.
Hold on.
18 days.
We only just started. I always find January just
Flies.
We're nearly at the end of January.
18 days in already.
Sorry, can I just take something?
Yeah. Thank you, beloved. Praise be to Allah. Today's show is entitled The Need for a Cultural Revolution. The need for a cultural revolution. I'm pretty sure that all of us over the years would have heard that terminology in one place or one form or another, a cultural revolution. But what does that really mean? And why do we need a cultural revolution? Dear family, it is unfortunate, but as original people, as Black people, as Africans, you may not want to believe it, but mostly we live other people's cultures, and we have forgotten who we really are and what is our real culture. And so today, many of us, especially those of us in the diaspora, those of us who are coming through that legacy, that history of enslavement and destruction, we have a hodgepodge of so-called culture, either that we picked up somewhere in South America where we were enslaved, or North America where we were enslaved, or in the Caribbean where we were enslaved, or right here in Europe where we were enslaved. And then we added that to and coupled that with our genetic memory of our African roots. And, you know, there are elements of so many different things which have been fused together. You know, like, for instance, being a Jamaican, the Jamaican motto, I don't know where it came from, who coined it. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a Caucasian, but the motto is out of many, one. Out of many, one. And when you say out of many, you're talking about the original people from that region, you know, so-called Arawak Indians and other types of Tainus natives and others. And then you have, of course, you have the Caucasian bringing us in the holds of slave ships from Africa and North America, because when they couldn't control, you know, those captives, those prisoners of war, those enslaved Africans that they couldn't control in the plantations in North America, do you know that they shipped them to the Caribbean to break them all over again if they could? And oftentimes, some of us, when we got to those islands in the Caribbean, in particular places like Haiti, Jamaica, we didn't spend one day in captivity because we ran straight from the slave ship into the hills and became Maroons, became guerrilla fighters who would then come back down at later times and raid those plantations and scare the slave master and his plantation overseers to death. And sometimes we would put them to death in trying to liberate ourselves and free ourselves. And so we have got a lot of things now that are said to be Black culture, but it ain't always necessarily so. This is what's important. And I'll give you a classic example of what I'm saying, dear family. You know, the founder of the Nation of Islam, Master Fard Muhammad, a wonderful, beautiful human being, a God, the God, came and really searched among our people until he found a man who had the right constitution, who had the right character, who had the right heart, who had the right energy and spirit and a desire and a love to go after his people and to free his people. And I'm speaking of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in turn raised up hundreds and thousands of believers and ministers, student ministers. And the best of those turned out to be the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now I'm saying that, and I'm giving that brief history for the purposes, dear family, of saying that, you know, for a lot of our people in the modern era, when they see the brothers dressed with these suits and bow ties, and they see our sisters with the beautiful scarves and the long dresses and so on and so forth. For many of us, when we see that, we frown, or we don't understand, and we think, oh, this must be Arab culture. That I'm talking about the dress code of the sisters primarily. And of course, the suit and the bow tie must be the white man's dress code that we are now copying and mimicking. And dear family, you know, you could not be further from the truth. You see, again, it is not always understood that when we as original people, when we as Africans were dressing in silk and all of the fine materials and garments for millennia, going back into ancient times, it was literally only 4,000 years ago that the Caucasian man was on his all fours, covered in hair like a wild creature. He calls himself at that time a caveman, living in the caves and the hillsides of Europe. We already had circumnavigated the entire planet. We knew flight. I don't want to go too deep, because I know some of you will freak out and say, oh man, that just sounds like a myth and it's not, can't be real. But this is what I'm saying. This is what they know about us, but we don't know about ourselves. And, you know, bringing it right up to the modern time, you see, today you will hear this terminology, because of course we're here in the UK, in England. And by the way, E-N-G-L-A-N-D, it's an abbreviated term that means the land of engineering. E-N-G is engineering, the land of engineering. This is where they engineer and manufacture everything that goes into the deception of the entire planet. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But the point is this: in England, they have sent out into the world the so-called English gentleman. And I just need you to think about that term, gentleman. See, family, we don't understand how we've been bamboozled by language. See, because when you think about a gentleman, you're thinking about someone who is genteel. You're thinking about someone who is cultured. You're thinking about somebody who is polite, somebody who is has dignity, somebody who really, you know, has the type of decorum and the type of moral character that would allow that person to be loved and to be trusted and to be honored and to be respected. See, do you understand, dear family, that even the term gentleman is a term pertaining to the original Black man, but has been actually stolen, and that our identity has been stolen, and that you have a man today masquerading as a gentleman, but there's nothing gentle about him. It's a misnomer. It's a fake identity. But as long as you think that's the gentleman, and then when you see a black man looking like a gentleman, you think, oh, here's a black man trying to be a white man. No, here's a black man taking back his culture and his identity, because that's who we are. We're the gentle people, man. We're the beautiful people. We're the people that you can't find no gun with our name on it. You can't find no weapon, no bomb, no weapon of mass destruction with our name on it. That's just not what we do. I hope you understand and follow that logic, because we could go deeper into it, but I don't think it's necessary, dear family. But I just want us to appreciate that we give so much away of ourselves and credit other people with what really belongs to us. According to the Final Call newspaper, in a November 2016 article, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan met with hip-hop and entertainment leaders, including Rick Ross, 2 Chainz, Jermaine Dupri, Kelly Price, Ron DeVoe, Killer Mike, Benzino, David Mays, and others at the gathering spot in Atlanta. I'm sure that some of you brothers and sisters will know exactly where that is, and you may have even been there on that occasion when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan addressed our brothers and sisters. You know, I don't know very well a lot of the people in that list, and there were so many more people there that have not been named, but the point is that these are some of our great young entertainers and hip-hop artists and influencers of our young people, and young people generally all over the planet, irrespective and regardless of their creed, their class, and their color. It never ceases to amaze me these days, you know. I see so many things pop up on the TV or on social media, whatever, where everybody's rapping. You know, Chinese, you know, Outer Mongolia. You got people that
in Iran.
Yeah, they're following or copying. That's right. We saw some people in Iran recently, Iranian, but they're rapping in their own languages, but they're doing all that. They got all the mannerisms and all the, you know, the hip hop culture type of swag and posture in what they're attempting to do. Because again, whether we appreciate it or not, we are the greatest influencers on planet Earth. We were, we are, and we will continue to be. But the question is, what are we going to influence the people to do? What is the message that we are conveying about ourselves and about our understanding of ourselves and others? You see, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has made it his duty to speak to this community in particular on a number of occasions, on numerous occasions, because he views this community as being extremely influential and powerful. And I won't be able to quote this exactly right. I don't know if you can help, Sister Claudia, but you know, the minister has said on occasion that one of the records that some of these artists makes will reach more people or do more than 100 of his speeches or lectures. But that's also, by the way, that's the beautiful humility of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Believe me, you're going to have to go some to be able to defeat or do more than 100 Minister Farrakhan lectures. Believe it.
Just one gives you life.
Right, exactly. If you're listening,
Mhm.
if you're really listening
Yes.
and taking on board what's being taught, I'm telling you, a quarter of a lecture is enough to wake you up and give you life and give you that transformational ability to actually move from one place to another. So, but the minister nonetheless has really focused on trying to, get the young entertainers,
That's right.
edutainers, the young artists, hip hop artists, actors, people who are involved in the big screen. Because I was in New York at a lecture that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave in the Jacob Javits Center. And the minister on that occasion was talking to many of our brothers and sisters in Hollywood. A couple of seats along from me was Wesley Snipes. There were members of Michael Jackson's family. Michael Jackson wasn't there, but there were members of his family. Some of his brothers were there on that particular occasion. And there were other actors and people in the entertainment industry that were there listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that night. And I remember one of the questions that the minister asked during that lecture. He asked them the question, he said, and again, I'm paraphrasing, the minister said, do you realize that when you get that script, that you can actually say no?
That's right.
You see, because again, I think for some of us, we get a script as an actor, as an actress, and we think, wow, I better grab this because one, it's money.
Yes.
Two, it's maybe progressing my career in that field. And if I reject it, maybe I won't get another one.
Yes, yeah. You do, that's what you think.
I've got to be completely honest with you, family. Believe me, when I was working at the BBC, doing The Real McCoy, I think I was probably the only person that they'd ever come across who, when we would sit around the big table and read all of the new scripts, stuff that I hadn't written, but stuff that other people had written for the cast. And I would read something and I would put it on the pile and say, I'm not doing that. And I remember people used to be looking at me sideways like, whoa, what do you mean you're not doing that? I said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. And unfortunately, some of the other actors on the cast, almost immediately, I would say, I'm not doing that. They would say, I'll do it. And that was very sad because in a way, it was like, it was undermining what could have been a very solid circle. Because I wasn't just saying I'm not doing things for the sake of not doing things. I was saying it because, one, I wanted that show to remain a family-oriented show so that our children could watch it, and our grandparents could watch it, and all in between, and they could have a fantastic time being entertained by the show, but nobody would have to be sitting there cringing or being embarrassed because the language was filthy or low down. I just didn't want to be a part of something like that. And so I turned down a lot. I even had my contract changed where, what was it called? Moral rights. I had moral rights taken out. They said you have to give up your moral rights. It didn't, and lots of people tried to explain to me that it didn't mean giving up your moral rights. It was just really basically giving authority or giving over the ownership of that particular material to the BBC. But I said, no, well, I'm not happy with something that says giving up my moral rights. And so I had it taken out of the contract. I'm telling you, I'm not lying to you, family. And again, apparently that was something unheard of. So anyway, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was explaining, that you can say no.
That's right.
See?
And you feel so much better when you say no. Because with our children acting, there's lots of scripts that we read over and no, you're not doing that.
Not doing that.
You got to put God first. And once you put God first, then you know, right, to God be the glory. Everything is in God's hands. And you know, okay, so what if you don't get it? And there's more to come. You'll get more from God.
And you know, you see, the thing is, dear family, if we're waiting for the enemy
Yes.
to write a script that's going to be pleasing to God, pleasing to us, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yes,
What is it? Hell freezing over?
Yes.
So to me, again, that's why we have to become writers of our own stories.
That's right.
We have to become tellers of our own stories. You know, we're so talented. We're so multifaceted as a people. And, you know, I don't know if it was on that. It wasn't on that occasion, but I know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did relay a story that Wesley Snipes had called him to ask him if he should play a particular role in a particular movie. It was the movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was a movie where Wesley Snipes was required to put on a dress. And if you remember, Wesley Snipes was Blade. Blade, a black superhero, bad man. That would send a strong, powerful, masculine message to our young brothers. Wasn't perfect as a script, Blade, drinking blood or whatever, but you know, there was a lot of stuff in there that could be worked with. But from Blade, now they want the brother to put on a dress and act like a woman. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that brother asked him, should he do it? And the minister said, brother, you don't have to do that. Minister advised him, you know, you don't need to do that. What did Wesley do? He ended up in a dress. And so many of these actors and stars, you know, they say, oh, they would never do that, but where did they end up? And so, dear family, I'm sure that some of you will be familiar with some of the revelations that have been coming out recently from, you know, Cat Williams, the comedian, Cat Williams, the comedian, talking about some of his fellow comedians and how compromised many of them are. And it's very true. And I'm saying this to say that, see, popular culture today is more influenced by the medium of television and the big screen and the phones and the media, social media and so on and so forth. And they are tremendous influences of human beings, especially our youth. And we've got to be very aware that, you know, we can't take it as read or take it for granted that a lot of our image and expression today has anything really to do with us. And we have to question everything and look at everything and ask ourselves, where is this coming from? The article in the final call continues, and it says, the minister delivered the October 13th message with guidance for personal growth and development, dealing with the music industry, resolving beefs, because again, in that hip hop community, you all know the story of Tupac and Biggie, and all of these beefs that sometimes literally lead.
Was it 50 Cent and Ja Rule?
50 Cent and Ja Rule lead to some of our artists literally losing their lives over arguments which are not really anything of substance, but which are fueled by the entertainment magazines and papers and chat shows. And, you know, then you got East Coast versus West Coast, and same madness is going on here with drill music, and it's been going on for years with postcode wars, where depending on different areas where people live, and then the drugs and all of these come into it. But again, when you hear about such things, so much of this now, drug, gang, warfare, explicit lyrics in music talking about violence and disrespecting women and disrespecting ourselves as, this using terminologies such as niggers and all of these low down characterizations that we put into the music. What it does is it fuels this type of beef and warfare within our communities, and that industry has got such a heavy responsibility for so much of that. I've taken part in seminars where I've sat on panels with other people who work within the Black communities, and some of them are in the music industry and others are in different areas of life, debating this whole issue about the influence of the music on the young people and knife crime and gun crime and all the rest of it. And there's some really nonsensical arguments I've heard over the years, people trying to deny the influence of these things where, you look at these young people and they may not be able to read a book. They may not be able to hold down a job. But when it comes to the lyrics of these songs, they know the lyrics backwards. If you see the young at these concerts with these artists, whether it's Beyonce or, 2 Chainz, it doesn't matter. They have their fans, and their fans, they're like, they almost worship the artist to the point where the lyrics become a mantra that is repeated over and over and over again. And then depending on what those lyrics, what the content of those lyrics are, when anything becomes a mantra, a repeated saying in your mind or expression of your mouth, I'm telling you, family, that thing is going to live. As actors, for instance, we have to learn the script. And there's only one way to learn a script, okay? It's repetition. It's like anything that you do. You have to go over it and go over it and go over it. It's like building muscle. Reps. You got to do reps. And then the muscle builds. Same thing with learning a script. You go over it, over it, over it, over it, and then eventually it sticks in your head, and that script becomes yours. You know it by rote. You know it by heart. You
become that person.
And if you're in the field of the method actor, you try to take on the persona and the character of the one that you're playing. When I played Mr. Fraser, I think I may have mentioned this before on the Imagination show. Sometimes I'll be backstage dressed as Mr. Fraser, ready to go on to perform, and I'd have other artists or other people trying to talk to me as Brother Leo. I could never reply to them as Leo. Now I'm Mr. Fraser. I am no longer me. I am now this other character, because that's how deep I would go into the thing. And I know that a lot of people may have been freaked out trying to have a code. They may have thought I was very rude because I'm not responding as me anymore.
But what does that shows how important it is what you feed on, because you actually become that which you feed on. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And what did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad say to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan after the minister wrote and performed a play and had some of the believers performing that play? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad advised the minister that he would rather that, he focus on the ministry, focus on the spiritual and giving the word rather than continue in that vein, because he didn't necessarily want any of our people playing a role like a pimp or a prostitute or whatever. Why? Because the messenger said in order to play that character, you have to become that.
That's right.
See, that's how deep it is,
Very deep.
family. Not only does the one who is saying kill the nigger, you know, abuse the sister, not only does that one have to adopt a persona which is other than self, but the listener who then, coupled with a beat, absorbs that or digests that having then been regurgitated or becoming a mantra, that then becomes a part of that other person's expression, that other person's reality. I hope you're getting this, dear family, because it is very important that we understand that we don't, on the Image and Nation show, just talk about things for the sake of talking about things. We're talking about this because we know what's needed to happen if we're going to actually make a difference, if we're actually going to make a change. We're not going to be able to tinker around the edges of problems and have wishful thinking that it will go away. They're going to have to be a vigorous approach to these things and an in-depth analysis of these things if we're going to make changes that's going to benefit us, our family, and our people.
Yes, like when Public Enemy came out, they said no, can't have Public Enemy singing rap into our people, because that was a real rise, and then that's when they started pushing the drugs.
That's when NWA came.
Yes.
Niggers with attitudes came.
Yeah.
You see, because they had to rival, they had to infuse gangster rap.
That's right.
And these other elements, because
all the filth.
Because Public Enemy was too strong.
Oh, that was powerful.
KRS-One was too strong. The conscious rap, because initially rap was really grassroots messages in the hood among the people, really talking about reality. It wasn't that it was all clean and rosy necessarily, but it wasn't so much against self.
Yes.
So the minister delivered the October 13th message with guidance for personal growth and development. Here's a minister trying to help this community of entertainers, of rappers, of performers to personally grow and develop. That's what he does. There's hardly a community in North America and in other parts of the world, but particularly in America, that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has not spoken to. Whether it's lawyers, doctors, prison officers, police, I'm talking about Black people, that he makes it his duty. The incarcerated, he makes it his duty to speak to the clergy. The minister goes and speaks to the church and to all of these different entities and bodies, because it doesn't matter who we are, we all stand in need. The minister speaks to the Black politicians. We all stand in need of self-growth, self-improvement, because we're all destroyed. Doesn't matter how we look on the surface. If we don't understand that a cultural revolution is necessary, then we will continue to hit and miss and generally fail, because we're still operating within somebody else's paradigm. There has to be a paradigm shift. Dear family, the minister delivered the October 13 message with guidance for personal growth and development, dealing with the music industry, resolving beefs, unity, and how to use the awesome power of their gifts to uplift the Black community and influence the world. because that's the potential to influence the whole world. But in what way are we going to influence? Among many other powerful words of wisdom and guidance, the minister said, listen to what he said, dear family. The minister said, this is what he's telling the rappers, telling the entertainers, telling the actors, use your gifts to spark a cultural revolution and lead young people into a better world. You know, in this entertainment industry, the performers are called stars. But when do stars come out, family? Don't the stars come out when it's dark? Don't the stars come out in that darkness when we can't see clearly? Why is it that in the popular story of Jesus, it was a star that would lead those wise men to his birthplace? Why a star? Because if we are truly stars, if we're genuine stars, do we appreciate that we have an obligation to be a guiding light to the masses of our people who may be in the dark, may be ignorant of certain realities? It's amazing to me, watching certain so-called stars, how they think it's about them and the people worshiping them rather than them being a light unto the people. And of course, you get rewarded. That's fine. But do we appreciate that? One of the things, whenever I've been out in the street and people come up to me because they recognize me from television or the internet or whatever, and they want to take a picture or they want an autograph or something like that, I would never, ever disrespect one of those people and deny them to the best of my ability. Why? Because if it wasn't for those people, you wouldn't be a star, or you wouldn't, who you shining to? And sometimes I think as so-called stars, we got it all backwards. We think it's about us as opposed to it being about that audience that have braved the snow and the rain and the sleet.
For hours.
Right, stood in a queue for hours, discomfort.
Buy every album.
To buy your album or to come into the theater to see you perform. Man, the level of respect that we should have for those people. But again, I think sometimes we get it backwards and we think it's really about us as opposed to it being about the people and the duty that we have to those people to shine a light, to be a bearer of witness of something that, and the reason why the people looking up to the star? Why do people wanting to be around the star, to maybe shake the star's hand, to touch the star? Well, are you imparting something of stardust? Are you imparting some knowledge, some wisdom, some understanding, some guidance? Because if at the end of the day, the people are just coming to you and all you've got to impart is some filth, is some decadence, it's some backwardness, it's some low down negative thing where now you're, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan describes, a dragon, where now instead of being an uplifter and a motivator and one who is a guide, you're a dragon, just dragging the people down into a pit of hell when you're masquerading as a star. Man, you know how many people get disappointed when they meet the so-called star?
Yes.
and they realize, oh my God, is that what you is that what you really like?
Which
Wow.
can shatter people.
Absolutely. Because the people have got an expectation, because, you know, some of us, we talk well, we know how to put on a show, put on an act, but we're no better than the people that we're trying to bamboozle with our spiel, with our script, with our, you know, silken words. And when we come off the stage and the people see us in our element, you know, they realize, oh man, you're not. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that, you know, as a so-called star, that you've always got to be shining, that you are always going to be shining. No, you know, one of the things that I've discovered is that a lot of the people who are entertainers, who are performers, who are people who give to others en masse like that, many of them are almost what you might call a manic depressive. Many of them suffer greatly when they leave the stage, when they're no longer on that high of giving a message, whether it's telling jokes or singing songs or whatever. Many of them come down into a really low place because they themselves are still searching for who they really are. They themselves still need what the minister was offering to those who were in attendance in Atlanta on that particular occasion. They still need guidance. They still need uplifting. They still need personal growth and development. You see, I hope you are following, dear family. You know, I put this image up here of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with his violin, because I don't know how many of you know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a greatly accomplished violinist. You see, and you need to go and study your scriptures and look at David and his harp. See, playing that little instrument, and how there were those who thought that David really was just a musician, just a player of an instrument, a string instrument, and that he could never, ever challenge Goliath. And I mean, you had literally warriors coming and mocking David and really saying, you know, what do you think you're going to do against this guy, against this giant? But David was not moved by any of that. And some of them were offering him weapons. He said, I don't need your weapons. All I need is these 5 smooth stones. And in the end, all he needed was one to take down Goliath. And then he took Goliath's own sword and cut off his head. And there's deep science in all of that. One of these days, we'll go a bit deeper into that for you, dear family. But I just want us to have an appreciation of who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is. He is a man who fulfills so many of the characters and types that you find written of in your scriptures, and not in a random or haphazard way, but no, a fulfiller of that which has been prophesied to come, of a man who is to come, who is to do a work of transformation among a people who had been destroyed and had their identities stolen, had their culture corrupted. And he comes to help to restore to us those things that would make us once again a beautiful and powerful people. Dear family, let's take a basic look at a dictionary definition of the meaning of the word art. The expression, this is what art means, the expression or application of human creative skill and image a nation. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting. You can see this African painting, this African print next to it. In a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. You know, great art moves us, man. Great art stirs the soul and does something for the human being which is beyond the mere physical. And art and culture is something that we overlook at our absolute peril. It's so powerful and influential. That's why the enemy has all of these museums full up with our artifacts, with our history. That's why his entertainment industry is 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's why there are so many programs designed to literally program the viewer or the listener to keep you moving in a particular direction. I've said it before, I say it again. The term movie industry, it's not because it's moving pictures. It's because it moves the masses of the people in one direction or another. And there are social scientists who are a part of that industry who tailor particular films and programs in such a way that they're designed to create or to foster or to maintain trends. They set trends for the people to follow. This is what Hollywood does. This is what many of these movie houses and other record industries is all about. The expression or application of human creative skills and imagination, typically in visual forms such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. The various branches of creative activity, such as painting, music, literature, and dance, the visual arts. This is what we are dealing with, dear family. This is a very, very powerful and important aspect of our humanity. And it's something that we, can't just think about it in abstract terms or think about it in a way of thinking that, well, what we have currently is something that we've designed for ourselves, not appreciating that so much of it has been designed by our enemy, okay? And we have come along and fitted into something, not realizing that we are not necessarily the creators of these things. The meaning of the word culture. Culture, dear family, means the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual
achievement.
Is it because I can't see the word?
Achievement.
Okay. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. This is culture now. When it's all put together, it forms what's called a culture. Culture is not a lightweight thing. The arts, the humanities, intellectual achievements, intellectual activity. See, this is Now, you know, our ability to read and to write and to express ourselves through storytelling and things of this nature. Because this is how human beings learn. This is how human beings flourish. It is through these intellectual endeavors. These are not small or lightweight things. These are things that we have to get more hands-on and focused on, because we oftentimes appear to abdicate our responsibility for such things. And we think, well, that's for other people of a higher learning, while we, the street people, this is how some of us regard ourselves, while we, the ghetto people, while we, the hood people, you know, take what trickles down or falls of the intellectuals' table, and, you know, we will suffice with that. No, dear family, we've got to develop our own intellect, our own way of appreciating the finer things in life, and understand that if it's not fine, if it's not good, if it's not wholesome, we can and must change it.
It's when we get into the fashion industry and we copy them and those stupid outfits that they design, doesn't make any sense. And those art pictures that you see, like somebody just
Picasso.
Yeah, well, they just splash something and they say, "Oh, you see that?
That's 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million." And I think to myself, "Oh, why don't I do that myself?"
You know,
just splash.
no, well, just get one of your children.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get one of your children to do.
And then they say, "Oh, that's worth millions. Sell it at Christie's."
Yes.
Yes.
And we've got artists, beloved, in the Black world that can make faces out of matchstick.
That's right.
Can make
real genius.
I mean, real art.
That's right.
But will never really get the recognition.
That's right.
Why? Because mostly we don't necessarily appreciate who we are and what we have.
That's right.
And how valuable it is. And so we should be coalescing around self and supporting our own artists and making them big, regardless of what those other people think. It's irrelevant.
We've got to have our own.
Come on, man. We're the trendsetters.
That's right.
And so the arts, the humanities, intellectual achievements, intellectual activity, literature, music, painting, philosophy, the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society. And I got this from the dictionary, one of the dictionaries. Look at the example they give: African Caribbean culture. I thought that was interesting, that they should use as an example, African Caribbean culture. That's deep, man. But do you understand that much of African Caribbean culture has got nothing to do with us and everything to do with what was given to us, and then what we have taken on board and now believe is our culture and our way of life? I don't know the full details of this, but, you know, in America, part of what we're talking about here is, you know, American Black people say we eat grits. I don't even know what that is. I think it's like a cornmeal.
How many grits is it?
I think it's cornmeal.
Okay.
Grits. So somebody, one of brothers and sisters in America, please help us out.
Yeah, what the grits
but grits. Just the sound of it. Grit. Sounds like something you pick up off the road. But I think it because it's that coarse cornmeal, but it's literally, it's more designed for animals to eat. It was never really for human consumption. But during our enslavement, that's what they would give us to eat, along with the livestock, because that's how we were treated. What else?
It's like hominy in the Caribbean.
Like hominy corn. Yeah. So in the Caribbean, it's the same in America, but you see, we don't understand where we get this habit, this custom. Remember what we're going? Ideas, custom, social behavior, custom of eating pig's trotters, the pig's feet.
Oh.
The pig's feet being one of the filthiest part of the creature that you could never clean it. And again, how many people know that in the front legs of the pig in this area down near the hoof, there's a sewer pipe where it's constantly oozing pus, waste matter. And this is the feet that we cut off, that the slave owners used to cut off the feet to throw away, but they would throw it away, give it to us to eat. So in the Caribbean, we eat pig's tail.
Yeah.
That little curled up, wiggly tail that they would again dash to the enslaved. We eat the pig's ears. They would throw that and give it to us. We eat the cow tongue. They would dash that and give it to us. We eat the cow foot, chicken feet. See, because I'm saying these things because you see, some of us, we think, yeah, this is Black culture. We think this is, and we love it, and it's so nice.
As Sister Marva said, the pig's blood as black pudding.
Oh man, black pudding. But remember, the Caucasian himself, he specialized in black pudding.
Is that haggis?
Haggis, yes. He loves it. But that's not for us. But whatever he does, we have then adopted it, adapted it, taken it on board, and now we're doing it.
Yeah.
Pigs, look, man, they got us eating goat, and part of the goat that we would eat and part of the pig that we'd eat is the intestines, called tripe. Tripe. I don't know what they call it in America. I think, because I know that's one of the dishes that I know they specialize giving to our people in America. Go ahead.
Well, Bawana says cow head, manish water.
Man, and goat head as well.
It's all a mix.
Yeah, no, but they boil the whole head of the creature. You see the goat head sitting in there. I don't know if I've never seen them do it with a cow's head, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. But the goat head, boiling the head of the creature. I remember they gave us goat's brain to eat. I remember eating it. It was sweet to the taste. I remember eating that in Jamaica. But these are things, dear family. Oxtail. Again, this is the tail of the cow, of the ox. Yeah.
Oxtail soup.
Oxtail soup.
Queen Jane Version said chitlins, was it?
Chitlins, yeah. What is that? That again, that's like some part of the creature that's been, I think, minced up in a way. I think it's maybe got something to do with pork as well, but I heard that a lot in America. Chitlins. Again, somebody tell us specifically what that is, please. But dear family, these are things that have come down now, and we see this as Black culture. It's not Black culture. It's got nothing to do with us. It was something that we ate as a necessity for our very survival.
Of the intestines.
Is chitlins intestines, isn't it? Disgusting, man. My God. I mean, I think even some of us eat the testicles of the creature, of the goat and the cow and the bull, you know. And these, again, you know, we've been taught now that, well, if we do these things, it makes us strong and tough. These are, these are waste products from the creature that we were given. And as original people, we are so creative and so clever that oftentimes this meat that they would throw to us, the leftovers, the waste matter, would be so in such bad condition, almost to the point of rotting and putrefying, that we then would use herbs and spices in order to kill that horrible putrid taste and jerk it up to the degree where now it was hot and spicy, but it was palatable. This is where a lot of these really spicy jerk foods come from. This was us trying to disguise disgusting stuff that we were forced to eat. Family, I hope you're following, because African Caribbean culture, so much of it, it's really not ours. You know, when you're in the Caribbean and you see a man go to the side of the road and just flip out his penis and just wee in the public, and anybody walking past can see, and he'll do it like publicly. And you know, this is again something that we think, well, yeah, it's black man thing. That's how we do it. No, shut up. That's been made uncivilized. You don't whip out your private parts in the public. Today, my wife mentioned it, but just think about some of these fashions. You know, the black woman, she is the most shapely woman on the planet. She's got curves, man. She's got form. And one of the reasons, sisters, by the way, why we cover the form, why you cover your form, is because your form is designed by the Creator to be attractive to men. And if you want to attract a man on that basis, then that's easy. So we cover that so that you force the man to come at you from up here, come via your face, come via your mind, and you can have an intelligent conversation without the man's focus being down there. But you see these freaks in Paris and Milan and these European capitals designing clothes that then black women put, and you can see it's not designed by us, because the front is all down, the back is all up. It don't fit us properly. We got to be there struggling to wear these things. Even these high heels and stuff that we wear, man, I'm telling you. See,
that women wear.
Yeah, I say we. No, but I'm saying some of us wearing it as well.
And they walk.
They
walk good.
I was in Barbados, beloved, and there was a whole place.
Those brothers.
These brothers dressed as women. It was shocking.
It was scary.
You know, so my point is.
And we think it's acceptable.
You know, whether it's fashion, whether it's the food, whether it's the filthy music. See,
that filthy language.
Yeah, if you think, you know, I listen to some of these stand-up comedians now, man, and I'm like, man, it does give you a headache. And it's not that they're not clever. It's not that they're not funny. It's not that they're not talented, but my God.
Operating on the lower side.
Yeah, you mean to tell me you can't come up with some lyrics without all of that stuff? Every other word is S-H-I-T. Every punchline is S-H-I-T or F-U-C-K, and it just goes, and it's just nonsensical. In the nation, we call that baby language. That's a man or a woman whose vocabulary is so limited that you can't express yourself without profanity, to the point where profanity is the mainstay of your conversation. And then foolishly, some of us, oh, that's black culture. It's not black culture, beloved. That's not black culture. Every other word, mother effing this, and that's
you're
not
singing that to it.
yeah. And some of the artists, they sing it.
Yeah.
You know, never mind rap it, singing mother effer and trying to make it sound sweet.
And then you see these young children saying it, and they're saying, "Oh, bad children." No, where did they get it
Where
from?
did they get it from?
It's not in a vacuum. It doesn't just come. They've heard somebody saying it, and they're singing it.
That's right. And if you're singing it, that's a mantra.
That's right.
And once that sticks, that's a part of you now. Civilization, society, way of life, lifestyle. And again, you may have heard me say this before, got to say it again, family. Today, mostly we don't have a lifestyle, we have a death style. There's a scripture that says there is a way that seems right to a man, but the way thereof is the way of death. It's not a lifestyle. It's actually killing us. And we're reminded in the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that he said that the brains of the human being, the brains of the original people, they're made to think right. And that every time we think wrong, we're going against the grain of the brain. And that's like playing in a piece of wood against the grain. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you can make the wood very ugly. It's not, you can't get it smooth because you're doing something that's not right in terms of how you've got to handle that grain that is really a part of the beauty of the wood. But if you don't know how to plane it correctly, well, it's the same principle with the brain that's designed to think right. When we are constantly feeding into our psyche wrong, then what do you think we're going to produce from such a psyche, from such a psychology? It's going to be wrong, dear family. And so civilization, society, way of life, lifestyle, customs again, traditions, heritage, habits, ways, mores, values. What's our values, man? Do you know that when you open your mouth in the public, wise people can determine so much about you based on what comes out? They begin to place you immediately in terms of your values, in terms of your mores, your habits, your customs, your tradition, your way of life. And some of us wonder why we're constantly being judged. But oftentimes we don't look at ourselves and wonder, what is it that we're conveying? What is the image that we give? Because, yeah, I know, I mentioned it earlier, some of us think that, oh, in the nation, we're trying to be like the white man, dress like the white man. Stop it. That's so stupid. The white man could not be without us. And everything you see him do it, especially in the way of dress, he is copied from us. We taught him how to dress.
Civilized.
We civilized him. Going back 4,000 years ago, when we sent Moses or Musa to him to civilize the savage in the hills and cave sides of Europe. And we taught him some of the forgotten technology that they have been initially taught during their making on the island of Pilan, or that island called Patmos in the Aegean Sea that you can find in the book of Revelations. Dear family, biology, it means maintain tissue, cell, bacteria, etc., in conditions suitable for growth. You see that when they got these cultures in the laboratory, cell cultures, but listen to the purpose of it. Listen to what they're doing with these cell cultures, these scientists, as they manipulate bacteria and, cells. It is to create, or they create a condition suitable for the growth of these cells and this bacteria and whatever else that they're experimenting with. But it's designed for growth. See, if we're not growing, but instead we're atrophying or diminishing, getting smaller, that's not good. If we are and have a genuine culture, it should be growing us. It should be expanding us. It should be cultivating us into something greater than what we were initially. This is the nature of life. This is why, in the way in which human beings come about, we start from a single cell and multiply into over 6 trillion cells in order to become a fully functional human. Brothers and sisters, I hope you're following us today. We are talking about the need for a cultural revolution. Here is a simple dictionary definition and meaning of the word revolution. Just keeping it very simple. On the Imagination Show, believe me, we literally just touch surfaces. We rarely go into the depth because we just haven't got that kind of time. But revolution is a forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. Now, don't get nervous. Don't get scared. A forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. See, in our minds, we conjure up, we're going to overthrow the government. Stop it. Do you understand that you are a government in and of yourself? That's the whole purpose of your existence, that you must learn how to govern yourself, that you have to become a government unto yourself, and that we're going to have to forcibly overthrow our own government, that which currently governs us. If it's a misgovernment, if it's leading us in the wrong direction, if it's causing us to do things which are detrimental to self, that's a government that needs to be overthrown. There's some governments out here as well, make no mistake about it. They're on their way to be overthrown. That's a given. But we're really dealing with something much more personal, and our social order has to be changed in favor of a new system, a new constitution. People love to talk about the American Constitution, but before the American Constitution that was enacted in 1776, when they, formed this new nation called America, long before the American Constitution was the human constitution. We have a constitution, man, that governs us from the creator of the heavens and the earth. And that system that constitution has to be renewed. It has to be reviewed, and it has to be analyzed to appreciate that there's things which have now been corrupted to the point where they have to be disposed of. The country has this is an example of the word revolution. The country has had a socialist revolution. So the socialists have taken over. That's what that means. Dear family, our definition and the meaning in today's Image and Nation show context, in the context that we want to get across when we talk about revolution. In this context, it means a complete turn away from an unwholesome way of life into a full and wholesome way of life. Does that make sense?
That's strange.
It takes effort to turn, but it's as simple as this. It looks simple for you to just turn around, but there's effort involved in that process. It's not going to be something that you just wish. It's going to be something that we have to deliberately desire to do. Go ahead.
You've got to turn your mind.
Yeah, before you turn your body.
Yeah, the mind in the right direction.
So in Islam, we have a prayer that says, surely, so we used to say it in a particular way, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us some guidance a long time ago on that prayer. And since that time, I've taken it on board, what he said. So I say, surely I am being turned. Okay, because it's not really me doing it. It's Almighty God, Allah, helping me to turn. Surely I am being turned, trying to be upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth. And I am not from among the polytheists. In other words, I don't worship no multiple gods. I'm looking and I'm turning and I'm being turned by the originator of the heavens and the earth, the original one who formed my constitution, the original one who gave me a culture.
A way of life.
Yeah, man. Did you know, dear family, that Islam, as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, did you know that Islam comes with an inbuilt, ready-made culture? It's a whole way of life. This ain't no religion thing. Sitting up in a mosque on a Friday doing Jummah prayer
Sunday,
every day.
It's your life.
This is you got to live this 24 hours, 7 days a week.
That's right.
It's a culture, man. I hope we're following.
Yes.
Dear family.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everybody is good. How are we doing in the chat, Sister Claudia?
Yes, when we make progress, they always destroy it. This is why Allah said that it will take his coming after he sends Elijah. Queen James Version said it starts with our minds and our health. Most of our people are asleep because of poor health caused by bad foods. We definitely need to make a huge turnaround.
Huge turnaround, beloved. Dear family.
We have to be made over again, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said.
I was looking for that. Our light just went out. I was looking for somewhere, if I could find where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that, and I couldn't find it.
It's always at the beginning of the tapes.
Of the older tapes, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. I was. If you can find it for me, sister, I'd love to play that for the listening audience, because it's a very powerful statement where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we have to be completely made over. We have to be completely made over, because we're in that kind of trouble. You see, it's not tinkering.
No.
It's a complete makeover. Now, never in the history of this troubled world have any people been so blessed to have been given such a perfect example of a human being who is able to put his words into action and to demonstrate the boundless gifts and talents that we all possess and must develop our will to make manifest. I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, dear family. And I don't care who don't like it, because I know that there are those who they just don't want to believe that there is a man like that on the planet. I'm talking about those who love to talk about Abraham, love to talk about Moses, love to talk about, Jesus, love to talk about Muhammad, love to talk about the prophets and the greats, love to talk about Patrice Lumumba, love to talk about Marcus Garvey, love to talk about Malcolm X, and we love to talk about those who were here and are no longer here. Therefore, they can't make no demand on us. But today we have a man among us who is of that ilk, of that character, of that magnificence in terms of his example to us of what we can and must do for ourselves. But what do? Some of us make excuses. I don't really believe. Okay, just hang around a few days, dear family, because this man is very, very special. Very special to the entire human family. Oh, brothers and sisters, I hope we get it, man. I hope you understand. You think that's somebody else's culture. That's not somebody else's culture. Do you understand that Beethoven is a black man? Do you understand that most of those the classical musicians were black? And that we taught this skill and this art form to the entire world? And now today we're looking, at white people like they're the creators and the inventors.
Like ballet.
Wow. Do you understand that all of these artists who now play the pianos like it's you know, on another level. Do you understand it's black people that the original keyboard players that taught all of the great jazz musicians who are white? When you look at the documentaries that they make about jazz and you listen to these white musicians, they tell you all of their idols, all of the people that they modeled their playing and themselves on, all of them were black. All of these musicians, Elvis Presley, all of their models, all of their role models were black. Oh, family, let's just go to the end now. On October the 15th, 2005, marking the 10th anniversary of the historic 1995 Million Man March, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, while addressing the launch of the Millions More movement in Washington, D.C., the minister chose this occasion to introduce to all those in attendance and those watching and listening by television and radio the concept and vision for our own government, building on the strong foundation of 9 ministries to serve the needs of our people, starting with 1, a Ministry of Health and Human Services, 2, a Ministry of Agriculture, 3, a Ministry of Education, 4, a Ministry of Defense, 5, a Ministry of Art and Culture. Dear family, do we understand that as a people, as long as we're not thinking government, that we are in trouble and we will remain in trouble while we're thinking that we're going to fit into these other people's world and these other people's governments that was never designed for us. 6, a Ministry of Trade and Commerce. 7, a Ministry of Justice. 8, a Ministry of Information. 9, a Ministry of Science and Technology, dear family. Do you understand what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's life's work has been about, if not giving us a blueprint to what we can and must do for ourselves? The minister also mentioned the 10th ministry that is extremely important to us, becoming a whole nation consisting of a spiritually diverse people, yet a united people, mature in our spiritual and faith traditions. The 10th ministry is a ministry of spiritual development. This is what we do when we study on Fridays. Today, we have only been focused on one of those ministries, and that is number 5, the Ministry of Art and Culture. Please listen to what the minister had to say about the importance and critical nature, dear family, of this ministry, the Ministry of Art and Culture. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gives the blueprint and the reasoning behind the idea of a cultural revolution where our artists and those with the creative abilities using sound and vision and every performance platform and medium inspires the masses of our people to believe in ourselves and to achieve our greatness.
We need a ministry of art and culture. We applaud the hip-hop community, the new leaders of young people all over the world, but I want the young generation of artists to know there's a bigger purpose than popping our fingers and shaking you know what. There's a bigger purpose for art and culture. Mao Zedong, on his long march throughout Chiang Kai-shek, but he had 1 billion people whose lives he had to transform. Many of them were victims of opium, drugs, prostitution, like we are. But what Mao Zedong did, was he went to the cultural community and they accepted his idea. And then through song, through dance, through poetry, through drama, through documentaries, through movies, through books that were written, the idea of Mao Zedong became the idea of 1 billion people, and China became a world power on the base of the culture and the artistic community. If we had a ministry of art and culture in every city as we create this movement, we could say to our young people, what is the idea of the time? And are you reflecting that idea in your songs, in your dance, in your music?
Family, I hope you get it, man. I really hope you do, because this is what's needed. This is what's necessary. This is the part of what we have to put in place in order that our artists, our performers, our writers, our storytellers, our filmmakers, that they will put those elements into these mediums that would allow that cultural revolution to take place. We have to push back against this negativity which passes as our way of life. It's not our way of life. Dear family, here is a simple breakdown of the Ministry of Art and Culture. The Ministry of Art and Culture is the promotion of aesthetics, artistic and cultural expression in ways that facilitate mental, emotional, and moral upliftment of the members of the society. It includes visual and performing arts, included but not limited to music, film, dance, drama, literature, poetry, visual arts, and sports. It includes promotion of theater companies, audio, video recordings, presentations, competitions, and compilations, and an annual festival of the arts. It extends to a wholesome sports culture for health, fitness, athletic competition, and achievement. Last night, myself and my wife were at the theater, and that is such a powerful medium. Just young people on a stage performing, man. But it can completely capture your imagination and transport you. We were watching Macbeth. Transport you back into a different time and a different era and tell you a story that has nuance and meaning and make you think about the human condition. This is what we've got to be doing today, family. We've got to be creating narratives that are really about us and our story that we want to share with the world and tell the world. We cannot have a situation where we continue to allow somebody else to tell our story, or for us to just be also rands in somebody else's story.
It's time for change.
Time for change, man. Time for a brand new
That's right.
world order, a brand new paradigm.
Time for God.
So that's it. Thank you,
Yes.
Sister Claudia.
Yes, thank you, family, for tuning in. We don't want to take it for granted. Thank you so much for your time and your continued support. Don't forget, tune in to NOI.org. Also Final Call Radio 24/7. If you get inspired, the more you feed yourself on the Final Call Radio, the more you'll find your spirit is uplifted, you feel good.
Yeah, also don't forget to subscribe to the Final Call
Yes,
newspaper, because
that's
you
right.
can get it electronically as well.
Yes, if you don't like reading, you can just press a button and then it will
They'll read to you.
Yeah,
The articles will be read to
That's
you.
right. That's how that's how much the minister wants the word
to get out,
to get out there. He makes it so easy for us. So don't forget, tune into NOI.org, tune into Final Call Radio, subscribe to the Final Call digital newspaper, or if you're in the States, you can get the physical paper.
That's right.
Support the NOI.
And subscribe to the Imagination Show.
Yes.
Like, share, brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Ronald Thompson, for always reminding me.
And subscribe, okay?
Yes, but I pray that you all stay safe. Those of us who are in the cold, get our survival kits. Well, all of us should get our survival kits ready, first aid kits, have blankets, water. I think I read in the Final Call at least a gallon of water per person. Yes.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah, no, but say per person.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah. But anyway, get your food, because the weather all over the world.
It's gonna get bad.
Yeah.
Not just weather, but the weather is going to be a significant part of it. But the world is at war, family. Right. Just be mindful. Just be very mindful of the time.
But be with God
and make sure that you got God.
That's right. Be on his side
in your life.
That's right. But thank you once again, family. May Allah continue to guide, bless, and protect you all. We greet you in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved. Thank you, beloved.